A news hour tonight. Defense Minister urges frontline troops to end resurgence of Boko Haram. Police bust human trafficking ring in Oyo, rescue 84 victims. Senior citizens call for improved support for the elderly. On the foreign scene, Pope Francis laid to rest in Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica. Good evening and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Muhammad Baduru, has ordered frontline troops to end insurgency in the northeast region before the end of the year. He wants the troops to maintain the operational plans to curtail threats of Boko Haram and other non-state actors. The minister gave the order when he led the delegation to Borno State for an operational tour. Trust TV's Bitrus Gurutsi tells us more.
It is the second visit of the Minister of Defense, Minister of State for Defense, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff and other senior officers to Maiduguri for an operational tour. The Borno State Government House was the first port of call for a courtesy visit on the State Governor, Babagana Zulum. Governor Zulum, who is optimistic that the visit of the delegation will lead to more success in the fight against terrorists, wants more military manpower and focus on the Lake Chad region, which is key to President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda in food security.
Chad region has a very serious potential that can support the renewed hope agenda of this administration, which is agricultural production. We have over 300,000 hectares of land lying fallow. But we cannot cultivate the lands because of insecurity. I believe a small push on the side of the Nigerian army, on the side of the Nigerian military, will ensure establishment of army formations in our pump houses, Krenoa, so that people will have access to their agricultural lands. We have vast land, whether we like it or not. One of the root causes of this insurgency is not limited to endemic poverty.
What other requirements, additional requirements, so as to stop the new trend that we have been seeing insecurity in Borno State and the Northeast. Ours is to engage them, find out what are the requirements in both men and equipment. And the President has authorized us to do this and make sure that we provide them with all the necessary men and equipment that they need to stop this ugly tide that we have been seeing in the recent time.
The ministers and defense chief proceeded to Maimalari cantonment for a closed-door meeting with senior officers of Operation Hatlinkai and thereafter addressed troops.
In providing you with all the necessary tools and welfare that is needed to end this war by the end of this year. Are we committed to end it by the end of this year?
Yes, sir!
Are we?
Yes, sir!
Okay, remain committed and keep to this promise. Let's make Mr. President proud. Let's make Nigeria proud.
The visit comes weeks after the state government decried the resurgence of Boko Haram attacks on military formations as well as control of some communities in Borno by insurgents. Bitrus Gurutsi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
The Foreign Secretary of State, the Police Command, has confirmed 3 people were killed during a Friday night attack on Baraya community in the Godebawa local government area of Sokoto State. The command spokesman, DSP Ahmed Rufai, while speaking on Saturday, said bandits stormed the community located along Ilila and attacked residents, killing 3 in the process. The spokesman, however, assured all that the command is doing everything within its power to restore peace across the state. Meanwhile, a source disclosed that a team of security operatives was swiftly deployed to the scene and engaged the bandits in a gun battle, forcing them to retreat without successfully rustling any animal. In Oyo State, the police command has uncovered a human trafficking ring in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. In a major operation, the police rescued 83 individuals and a child from a house in the Orogo area of the city where they had allegedly been held for an undisclosed period. Preliminary reports suggest that the victims, believed to be nationals of the Democratic Republic of Congo, were lured to Nigeria under the pretense of being offered employment opportunities. There are also claims that the perpetrators extorted significant sums of money, reportedly in dollars, from the victims' parents and relatives as part of the elaborate scheme. The rescued individuals are currently at the police headquarters in Ile-Ile, Ibadan, where authorities are conducting further investigations to ascertain the full details of the case.
Go to the front. Obìnrin náà lọ jókòó tì yẹn lọ́wọ́ yẹn. Àwọn ọlọ́pàá yìí wọ́n ti mọ́tò.
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has intercepted a group of suspected trafficking victims en route to Libya through the Babura border in Jigawa State. Speaking during the handover ceremony in Gusau, the state capital, the state commander of NAPTIP, Aliyu Abubakar, revealed that 9 victims were intercepted by operators of the Nigerian Immigration Service. Out of the 9, 3 were identified as indigenes of Zamfara State. The 3 female victims are from Yankuzu village, a community ravaged by banditry under the Safi local government area of Zamfara State. The victims had previously fled their hometown due to persistent bandit attacks and had been residing in Kaduna State. The Zamfara commander of NAPTIP, Aliyu Abubakar, noted that some human trafficking syndicates exploited the vulnerability of the girls by luring them with false promises of lucrative job opportunities in Saudi Arabia. Senior citizens across the country are calling on the federal government to strengthen support systems for the elderly. With rising living costs and limited pension support, many older adults say they are struggling to make ends meet, especially in the area of healthcare. Hassan Kohli tells us more in this report.
As the cost of living continues to rise, senior citizens are beginning to speak out. At a medical outreach and Walk for Life held in Kaltungo, elderly residents voiced their concerns over what they call insufficient welfare and healthcare support. However, while they commended government effort through the Nigerian Senior Citizen Center, they are urging for more and continued support to ease their lives.
Our concern, us that we retired from the service, we have the need for that program, and it is good for us, and it will be good in our living as we are elderly people. As for today, we are very grateful because we experience many things that we have never known before, and now we know it, and we will try to continue living in it, especially as the food we should eat and the exercise, and sometimes some things that we never know it before, we know it today.
Specifically, they are urging the government to increase pensions, improve access to affordable health care, and invest in elderly housing and caregiving services.
There is health issue, just as they have just taught us, because an elder person doesn't know which drug he can use to take, and there is also issue of income generating revenue for the person, because some cannot afford even the drug by even if they are sick, but some can afford because of their children they can do, but some are helpless and some they don't have even children to care for them. So the major concern here is health issue and revenue income for the individual.
We are hoping for the federal government to give more funds so that it will reach each and every one of the elderly people to obtain this type of training. If possible, let them continue giving these programs from time to time to us all, the elderly people.
At the core of care for the elderly is the National Senior Citizen Center, which says it is doing its best to ensure that senior citizens are taken care of, adding that the center is reviewing current policies and working on proposals to better support aging citizens, especially in the health sector.
So one of the purposes of the Senior Citizen Center is to create job opportunities for these elderly people, particularly the retired ones, so that they can supplement their income, as the main purpose is to make them have a very, very fulfilled, well-being and a dignified life. So the Senior Citizen Center is organizing training workshops, providing grants to these people so that they can use them to invest in order to add what they are on what they are having at their income.
When it is domesticated, then it is brought closer to the people at the state, at the local government. Then we have more engaging mechanism to identify these people from different or stratas that are smaller than the entire umbrella at the national level. There was a time we were also trying to develop a database, and we have done that for those older persons who are into different crafts through NDE, Older Person Partnership, and we are now trying to do it even among those people who are, within our localities and communities, so that at any time we have, the need. At some point, especially when the 70 people were identified, it was out of a whole, database, a whole framework where the names were picked based on some peculiarities and the criteria that were outlined.
During the gathering, elderly people across Gombe State enjoyed free medical outreach and took part in a Walk for Life as a part of improving their health conditions, with projections showing a sharp rise in the elderly population over the next decade. Advocates say the time to act is now. Hassan Kohli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
In political matters, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke says he has not lost any of the supporters who backed his emergence in 2022, urging his followers not to worry about those who have left the People's Democratic Party (PDP). In a statement signed by the governor's spokesman Olawale Rashid and obtained in Osogbo on Saturday, Adeleke stated that rather than weakening the PDP, recent defections had only strengthened the party, thanks to the spread of various developmental projects being executed across the state. Reacting to recent developments within the party, Adeleke noted that the 2022 victory was made possible by dedicated and loyal PDP members, despite the anti-party activities of some chieftains. The governor assured PDP members that the party's membership base had expanded, with many defectors from the opposition joining. Adeleke further said his administration treats all federal constituencies fairly, citing a particular constituency with 3 key portfolios in his cabinet, urging PDP members to remain steadfast and united. Governor Adeleke expressed appreciation for the wave of endorsements from various interest groups and pledged to remain focused on pursuing the Imole agenda beyond 2026. Members of the River State People's Democratic Party (PDP) caucus in the National Assembly have declared their support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027. The Rivers North caucus made the declaration in a statement they all signed and read to newsmen on their behalf by Senator Barry Mbigi in Port Harcourt on Saturday. The caucus, comprising 2 senators and 7 members of the House of Representatives, said their position is based on the visible successes of Tinubu's agenda, which they described as working and on course. They called on those aspiring to contest for the country's #1 position in the next general election to shelve their ambitions, while lauding Tinubu's economic policies, saying they are aimed at repositioning the country's ailing economy among other achievements. They stated that Tinubu's renewed hope agenda remains the surest path to Nigeria's prosperity and progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, the crux of this press briefing is 1. To remind Nigerians that in 2023, we work assiduously under the leadership of Nyesom Ezeonwike for the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we were victorious in the assignment. 2. As members of the National Assembly from Rivers State, we declared unequivocally our unconditional resolve to work again for the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027. As legislators who are closest to our people, we shall begin the model of all mobilizations of our people to repeat in a greater measure what we did in 2023 in order to re-elect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, come 2027.
Gunmen suspected to be sponsored political thugs on Saturday disrupted the pro-Wike rally and inauguration of the new associates group at the Church of God Mission Camp at Ibugene, Yenogwa, Bayelsa State. The rally, organized by the supporters of the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, in appreciation of President Bola Tinubu for appointing sons and daughters of the state into positions on government, was also aimed at declaring support for Wike, who is the grand patron of the group. The rally, earlier fixed for April 12, was shifted to April 26, after supporters of Governor Duoyediri also fixed their rally at the earlier date and venue. The both groups also shifted their rallies. The supporters of new associates who had thronged the Church of God Mission Camp arena as early as 8 a.m. were already seated when the gunmen emerged from the nearby creeks and bush, shooting sporadically. The supporters, however, ran for their lives, while the combined security personnel from the Nigerian Police Force, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and the DSS engaged the hoodlums to retreat. From Bayelsa, we go to Lagos, where a fully laden truck this Saturday plunged into two commercial buses, leaving the driver severely injured. A statement by the Director of Public Affairs and Enlightenment Department, Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, Adebayo Taufik, said the accident occurred earlier in the day along Agege Old Abeokuta Road around the Penn Cinema Bridge. According to him, preliminary inquiry suggested that the truck driver, who suffered grievous fractures to both hands, lost control of the vehicle while navigating the bridge. Consequently, the truck plunged from the bridge and landed on two commercial buses stationed beneath. LASMA officers responding to the incident extricated the severely injured driver and immediately entrusted him to officers of the Ilere Police Division before he was subsequently conveyed to the General Hospital, Ile-Okpo, for urgent medical intervention.
This is Black Saturday. Lato Kembi, trailer Jabo Lato Kembi, the bridge. Jabo Sile Leo, away around to one of us. To one of park the bus from Mura to Lodele. Everyone to along. Lato
So right now, people can take
Black Saturday. Lato Kembi, trailer Jabo Lato Kembi. bridge jábọ́ sílẹ̀.
No fewer than 50 houses have been destroyed following a devastating windstorm on Friday night in Mahanga community of our local government area of Nasarawa State. One of the community leaders, James Arthur, disclosed this to journalists in Lafia, the state capital, on Saturday. He appealed to the state governor, Abdullahi Zule, the local government chairman, and other political office holders to come to the urgent rescue of the community. The Sultanate Council, Sokoto, through its Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, has called on the Muslim community to begin the search for the new moon of Zulqa'dah on Sunday, April 27, 2025. This directive was contained in a statement on Saturday by the chairman of the committee, Sambo Junaidu, who is also the Waziri of Sokoto. The statement said, since Sunday corresponds to the 29th day of Shawwal, it marks the appropriate time to search for the crescent of the new Islamic month. It urged Muslims to report any sighting of the new moon to the nearest district or village head, who will in turn communicate the information to the Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar. The sighting of the new moon traditionally signals the beginning of a new Islamic month and is critical to the religious calendar and observances among Muslims. We're on to News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Kano government moves to save historical monuments. These and more when we return. Please to stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. A recap of our top stories. We told you that the Defense Minister has ordered the frontline troops to end resurgence of Boko Haram. We also informed you that in Oyo State, police burst human trafficking ring, rescue 84 victims. Back here in the FCT, the Minister, Nyesom Wike, has ordered a clampdown on unregistered hospitals and quack medical personnel operating within the territory. In a statement issued on Saturday by the Senior Special Assistant to the FCT, Minister on Public Communications and Social Media, Lere Olayinka, the Minister warned that henceforth, anyone found to be operating or working in an unregistered health facility should be arrested and prosecuted. According to the statement, Wike issued a directive following the death of a 35-year-old pregnant woman, Chukube Chinagorom, after cesarean section at Afolmi Hospital, a private, unregistered facility located in Durumi, Abuja. The statement described the incident as unfortunate, stressing that despite the free registration of pregnant women into the Federal Capital Territory Health Insurance Scheme, many still patronize unsafe health facilities. According to the statement, Chinagorom was brought in dead to Asokoro District Hospital after undergoing a cesarean section at the Afolmi Hospital, adding that although she died, her baby was delivered alive and referred to Asokoro Hospital for care. An investigation by the Private Health Establishments Registration and Monitoring Committee revealed that Afolmi Hospital was not duly registered. It also revealed that during inspection, only one staff member, Simon Elisha Gudia, a junior community health extension worker, was found on duty. The Nigerian government has reduced its family planning budget for 2025, raising concerns about how the country will sustain access to reproductive health services for millions of citizens. The court follows a global decline in donor funding as the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, withdrew funding support from key health initiatives in developing countries, including family planning programs in Nigeria. Here's more in the report.
The federal government of Nigeria's recent decision to slash the family planning budget from 2.2 billion naira allocated in 2024 to 66.39 million naira in 2025 has raised alarm among health experts, civil society organizations, and concerned citizens. This drastic 97% cut in funding has sparked fears about the potential consequences on reproductive health services, particularly for vulnerable populations such as women, girls, and those living in rural areas.
Government of Nigeria has focused on reduction of maternal mortality, especially looking at family planning issues and other issues. The current minister, Professor Mohammed Pate, came in and instituted strategies like the sector-wide approach, which has a major block, which is the MAMI implementation, which looks specifically at crashing maternal mortality in Nigeria.
Family planning services are crucial for reducing maternal and child mortality rates, preventing unintended pregnancies, and promoting economic empowerment. Considering that Nigeria ranks the highest among countries with high maternal mortality rates, accounting for up to 514 deaths out of every 100,000 live births, there is palpable fear as to what this budget cut could mean for the nation, especially for the female population. It is incumbent on any responsive government to put the health welfare of its citizens first by reducing maternal mortality rate to the barest minimum. However, as at the time of filing this report, the government is yet to release any official statement to explain this move.
It's important that every country, every responsive government must look at what are the causes of maternal mortality. When it comes to funding and budgeting, family planning, maternal health is the responsibility of government across all the strata of government. So we also push, as part of our work with the state government, we push for a sub-national responsiveness.
Sometimes government may not understand the implications of this. Again, like I said, they have many different areas where they want to put financing. Also, there's an important role of the private sector. So there is a possibility that this could be reversed. Now, usually they also do midterm budgets, but we need to get our act together. We need to go and talk to the government and discuss with them and say this has implications.
The budget cut may lead to reduced access to contraceptives, increased unmet needs for family planning, and exacerbated health disparities. Stakeholders are urging the government to reconsider this decision, citing the long-term benefits of investing in family planning and reproductive health.
What I expect the government to do, especially at state level, is to focus on women who cannot afford to pay for family planning and ensure that they provide family planning products free of charge to those women. Now, to women who can afford a little bit more, they can work with organizations such as Society for Family Health.
We are 60-something years independent, but till today we don't have good health care in the system. If you can look at it, it's only in Nigeria you look at a health minister. The minister himself, simple headache or a family headache, is going to approach to treat himself.
So for the government reducing the money from whatever amount it was to whatever it is now, they might have their own reasons, but two, the way the economy is, it might be their reason for reducing it.
Even when it's less, they can't be able to get it done now that it's like this. It is really effective. Let's beg our society to look into this. If there is anything they can assist us on, to be okay.
Now, there is no any sector of the economy that has it the way it should be. So it's for prudence. Even the other past ones that has been given to the government to manage, what were the utilization?
Civil society organizations and health experts continue to advocate for increased funding and support for family planning services. It is hoped that government will respond positively by reconsidering the budget cut and prioritizing family planning and reproductive health. Moike Chiamaka, Trust TV News.
Medical experts are urging African parents, particularly in Nigeria, to ensure their children receive routine vaccinations from healthcare providers, especially at primary healthcare centers. The medical professionals who said the vaccines are crucial for child safety stressed the importance of visiting primary healthcare facilities to inquire about the appropriate vaccines for individuals of all ages. The report.
The
African Vaccination Week highlights the significance of vaccination in addressing public health challenges, especially in Africa, which bears over 75% of the global infectious disease burden. A major obstacle in Africa has been vaccine hesitancy and suboptimal vaccine uptake. While it is well established that many infectious diseases are vaccine preventable, however, vaccine uptake remains a challenge. At the College of Medicine, Idi Araba, we spoke with the head of infectious diseases, Dr. Ihohen Akase, on the impact of zero vaccination on children. He and others shared his perspective on the necessity of vaccination for Africa, particularly Nigeria.
Most of the infections are vaccine preventable. And infections, for children, they enter into a loop where they predispose them to delayed milestones. Repeated infections predispose them to delayed milestones, including things like malaria, where they are not able to feed well, and when they don't feed well, they don't grow well. And occasionally they may even become malnourished, as the case may be, and which they enter into a cycle of infection causing malnutrition leading to more infections, and it becomes a cycle that keeps going, over and over again.
Vaccination basically brings about immunity to children when they are giving birth to. So when you have a baby, it's important that you vaccinate that child against so many infections or diseases such as polio, hepatitis, so many other organisms of medical importance. So what vaccination basically does is that it converts immunity into a child, so that that child doesn't come down with any of those diseases or infection.
Beyond just making sure that your children are up to date with their vaccines, there's a vaccine schedule. Please go to a primary healthcare center or a healthcare facility near you to find out what the schedule is and if your child is on course, and if not, try to get the required vaccines. But beyond children, everybody has a vaccine that they need and that they can take. For instance, young girls from the age of 8 to 13 or 14 can take HPV vaccine, which protects against cervical cancer.
Improving vaccine uptake is not just a matter of health policy, it is a critical public health imperative for Africa's present and future well-being.
As several historical sites and monuments in the ancient city of Kano continue to face extinction, authorities say concerted efforts, such as enacting protective laws, are ongoing with the aim of reversing this trend. Speaking exclusively to Trust TV, the Executive Secretary of the Kano State History and Culture Bureau, Ahmed Abba Yusuf, says changing public perception towards monuments and historic sites remains a major challenge. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim reports.
100 to 500 BC. So
if both man and nature were kind enough to preserve such artifacts, future generations would be grateful to witness the stories they tell. The law establishing the Kano State History and Culture Bureau, currently in review, is expected to address several overlooked concerns regarding the preservation of these sites.
So the first thing we did in respect to preserving and protecting these historic sites is to ensure their full legal backing. They were fully backed by legal laws and what have you. Thereafter, we embarked on restoring the sites, the monuments, to international standard centers for historic research, documentation, and even tourist attraction. The place itself is a monument, the Gidan Dan Hausa being one of the historic sites in Kano, so we began by restoring it. Apart from this, we have successfully restored the first colonial residence office. It was constructed in 1914 after amalgamation of the northern Nigerian region with the southern region by Frederick Lord Lugard. And the first resident to occupy that building was Arhe Palmer. In the process of deslifting or renovating the Dala Hill, we are upgrading it to a state-of-the-art facility where tourists can come and see the rich history and grab the cultural significance of Kano and what have you. So these are basically the steps we are taking towards ensuring the full preservation and restoration of the abundant historic sites and monuments we have in Kano.
Unfortunately, many historic sites in Kano State are being lost to encroachment. The iconic Kano city walls and gates have seen almost 80% of their structure eroded. Other notable sites such as Goronduse, Dala, Fallau, and Santolo Hills are also not utilized to full potential.
Well, the major challenges we are facing now is the public awareness and public perception towards these historic sites and monuments. For instance, the Kano city walls and gates. Under previous administration, we witnessed how the government allocated plots of lands there for erection of commercial buildings there. So we are facing this challenge. People should understand that the significance of that work supersedes the significance of those shops there, because this is our heritage. This is the labor of our heroes past, which our previous national anthem said should not go in vain. Apart from the Kano City Wall and gates, we are currently dealing with an issue of mining and quarrying in one of the historic sites we have at Fallau and Santolo Hills. The inhabitants of the place are busy selling off their portion of lands around the hill to international companies that are there busy doing quarrying and mining. So people should know, our people should understand that these historic sites and monuments, if we could be able to utilize them the way they should, then the significance, the local economy that will be boosted as a result of these activities is far beyond them selling the farmlands there. These are some of the major challenges we are encountering at present.
Without collective responsibility and awareness, these ancient sites may remain stories told in classrooms rather than landmarks standing in time. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Still in Kano State, the government has uncovered irregularities in the payroll system of local government councils, as no fewer than 247 staff members were discovered to have either retired from service or died. The discovery revealed that the names of the affected local government staff have been appearing in the payroll and their salaries are running. The fraudulent salary payments amounted to a sum of 27.8 million naira for March 2025 alone. This revelation is contained in a statement by the Press Secretary, Office of the Secretary of the State Government, Musa Mohammed, and made available on Saturday. According to the statement, the recovery underscores the administration's dedication at entrenching governance, transparency, and responsible management of public resources. The Code of Conduct Bureau has introduced online declaration of assets by civil servants in the country to enforce compliance with Code of Conduct for public officers as provided for in the Constitution. The code made it mandatory for public officials in high-level positions like the President to a low-level officer like a cleaner in the civil service to declare their assets. Ahmed Dati sent in this report from Kano.
Nigeria has ratified the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which requires effective financial disclosure system for the appropriate public officials regarding assets, investments, gifts, and benefits. The online asset and liability declaration enables the country to align its domestic laws with her treaty obligations. Part 1 of the 5th schedule to the 1999 Constitution, as amended, provides for a code of conduct for public officers to maintain high standards of morality and accountability. To avoid conflict of interest, the code requires a public officer not to put his personal interests above his official duties and responsibilities.
Part of the challenges that have arisen over the years are questions about bribery, conflict of interest, unduly receiving gifts that public officers are not meant to receive. And the workshop has emphasized that in accordance with the 5th schedule of the Constitution, that public servants should be extremely worried of receiving gifts which conflict with their positions and which will put them in a situation of a conflict of interest. So they should look through the law, look through the rules, and make sure that they don't violate the law.
Civil society organizations are calling for increase in the membership of the Code of Conduct Tribunal from 3 to at least 18 to adequately cover the 6 geopolitical zones.
And their asset declaration, there are categories. So you fill in each category as you see them: cash at hand, landed properties, your asset categories. You fill it, after which you attest, and you submit. Once you submit, you can't go back to correct anything again. And the advantage we have on this, you don't need to go to the High Court, but once you just attest, you are good to go.
For most of us, we thought declaration of asset is just for the highest of the highest civil servants. But I understand that now even a messenger as a public servant can declare his asset, and that the hurdles that we used to encounter before and the manual aspect of registering or declaring your asset probably is now over, because you can do it online, and you can be able to submit your data, provided you would be very good enough to be accurate and timely in your processes of filling. Because I understand once you submit, you click the submit button as you're doing it manual, it's done. So one has to be very careful in ensuring that all that is needed to be declared is clearly and truthfully declared.
A private bill seeking to make declared assets accessible to the public while protecting the privacy of the declarant and other matters related thereto is being prepared for consideration of the National Assembly. Ahmad Datti, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has arrested 27 impersonators who attempted to sit for the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, on behalf of others. This was contained in a statement issued to newsmen in Abuja on Friday by the board's spokesperson, Fabian Benjamin. Addressing a separate incident at Caleb University, Benjamin confirmed that the board was alerted to the unauthorized restrictions placed on candidates wearing hijabs. He added that swift action was taken following the incident. The Vice-Chancellor of Caleb University was said to have condemned the actions of an overzealous security officer responsible for the unauthorized restriction. Residents of Bayelsa State have been strongly advised to prioritize environmental cleanliness due to the detrimental effects of unhygienic conditions on public health. This counsel was given during the monthly environmental sanitation exercise held in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital. Trust TV's correspondent Friday Buboy Peter will monitor this month's exercise across major markets and car parks in the capital city. Now reports.
During the environmental sanitation exercise observed every last Saturday of the month in Bayelsa State, several traders and park workers shared their perspectives on the importance of maintaining a clean environment.
It is good to give environment clean because of some certain insect, mosquito. The way I look at the environment very clean, when they continue to do so, it will be good for Bayelsa State and all the country. So I feel sanitation to continue to roll every month and it is necessary. Very good. And besides what I can say, it's good to put sanitation. The place is clean, every environment is clean. Place of mosquito and other things around.
And they give them advice, say nothing past to clean your where you dey. Very, very important to clean where you dey. When you clean where you dey, even in good, the person not clean where you dey, no good. But when you clean your where you dey, another person, stranger comes, stranger will like that place, but that person will stay here.
Every sanitation day, normally we used to get a meeting to talk, and I invite my people to bring their broom to sweep up the place. Some used to bring cutlass. Even last month we did the same thing. But today as you can see people now, many people are not coordinated because of, they said today is not plantation because of jam. Yes, that is why people, you see many people are selling self. If they not clean them, I will know that any place where they person where they for 30, it's not good. Even Jesus Christ don't like dirty place. So I used to tell everybody to clean up where you are selling, because we used to contact disease. Even snake can come, but if the place is clean, nothing like scorpion or snake can hide the place.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Environmental Sanitation Authority, Timothy Dekivie, urged all Bayelsans to embrace a culture of cleanliness and describe the exercise as successful.
Now we went to the camera Bayelsa County. I will notice that we have to keep part of the practitioners. We came to understand that people will transport are there, but have another capacity. So we the police will pay attention to come to those and security basket so that motorists and passengers alike will have where to distribute their waste number in Abia. One time in 18 days
restrictions due to the ongoing JAM examination. From Yenagua, Friday, Ibmoboway Peter, Trust TV News.
In business, the federal government has reopened the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu for flight operations from Monday, 28 April 2025. This is following the completion of emergency runway repairs. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection and the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, Obiageli Ora, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday. FAN had announced that due to a sudden and significant rupture in the asphalt surface at a critical section of the runway, it would be shut down for emergency repairs. However, according to the statement, the work was scheduled to begin on April 22nd and conclude before reopening on May 6, 2025. However, rehabilitation works on the runway have been completed and the runway is cleared for landings and takeoffs by the engineers working with the Federal Airports Authority. Dangote Cement PLC has released its unaudited financial results, reporting a pre-tax profit of 311.974 billion naira for the first quarter ended March 31st, 2025. The figure represents 87.48% year-on-year growth compared to 166.404 billion naira recorded in quarter 1 2024. The company also posted a profit after tax of 209.245 billion naira, up by 85.71% year-on-year from 122.674 billion naira reported in the same period last year. The performance also saw revenue of 994.659 billion naira, marking a 21.69 year-on-year increase from the prior year. The company's production capacity remained at 52 million metric tons, though production volume declined by 7.41% year-on-year to 6.547 million tons, while sales volume fell by 6.72% to 6.569 million tons. Revenue from the Nigerian segment rose significantly to 696.042 billion naira, increasing its contribution to group revenue from 55.41% in quarter 1 2024 to 69.98% in quarter 1 2025. Nigeria's electricity generation capacity rose to a peak of 5,148.34 megawatts on Friday, April 25th. This according to grid system performance data released by operators. The latest grid performance data showed that Nigeria's electricity generation increased by 405.54 megawatts on Friday from 4,742.80 megawatts peak recorded on Saturday, 19th April 2025. Meanwhile, Friday's grid performance figures lower than the 5,801.63 megawatts announced by the Minister of Power, Dibayo Adelabu, in the earlier days of this month. The minister attributed this feat to relative stability in the nation's grid for the past 4 months. Despite the country's grid performance data, majority of Nigerians have continued to face power supply challenges over the years. Away from Nigeria, a suspected drone attack by Sudan's Rapid Support Forces (RSF) paramilitary has killed at least 11 people at a displacement camp in River Nile State, authorities have disclosed. In a statement late on Friday, the local governor said the attack knocked out a nearby power station for the 4th time since the war between the RSF and the Sudanese army began 2 years ago. The attack marks a deadly escalation in the ongoing conflict, with a further 23 people injured, medical officials said. Witnesses say at least 9 children were among the wounded. Over the past months, the RSF has been accused of attacking power infrastructure in Sudanese army-controlled areas across central and northern Sudan. The RSF, led by Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hamditi, denies carrying out drone attacks. Pope Francis has been laid to rest at the Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica. The late pontiff's entombment was a private event which allowed those close to him to pay their last respects. This was after a funeral mass at the Vatican. Thousands of people, including world leaders and monarchs, witnessed Pope Francis's funeral mass at St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday. From there, the coffin carrying the pontiff's corpse was transported to Santa Maria Maggiore Basilica, where it was entombed. Mourners queued up along the streets to witness as his corpse was moved from the Vatican to his final resting place. The late Argentine is the first in over a century to be buried outside the Vatican.
Qui credit in me, etiam si mortus, et credit in me. Non te salta verum totalietes, et colles sicut anni.
In sports, Kano Pillars on Friday hosted Rivers United in a compelling Nigeria Premier Football League MPFL Matchday 35 encounter at the Sani Abacha Stadium. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim reports that the game concluded with a 2-0 victory for the home side, Kano Pillars. His report.
The hosts Kano Pillars came into the clash sitting 9th on the MPFL table, a stark contrast to Rivers United, who was second place, 7 points adrift of league leaders Remo Stars. It was an eventful first half with both sides creating chances. Stephen Manyo nearly opened scoring after latching onto a well-deserved free kick from Samuel Matthias, but his effort was smartly saved by Pillars goalkeeper Abuchi Okeke. The busier of the two goalkeepers in the first half, however, was Rivers United's Osage. He was called into action multiple times, managing to keep the hosts at bay amid a flurry of attacks. After the break, Kano Pillars finally found a breakthrough, with legend Ahmed Musa connecting beautifully with a cross from Zulkiflu Mohammed to give the home side the lead. That strike marked Musa's 8th goal of the season. The host team sealed the win when you handled the ball inside the box to stop a goal-bound effort from Rabiu Ali. The veteran midfielder, an all-time top scorer in the MPFL, stepped up to the spot and coolly slotted home his 12th goal of the campaign. Full-time score is Kano Pillars 2, Rivers United 0. In his post-match reaction, Pillars head coach Usman Abdallah admitted his team could have been more clinical, but praised their overall performance.
And at first half, we could have got almost about 3 goals. That is football. For me, I think all of them play well, and the combination of the players is satisfactory. So we are very happy with the result. This is what we expect, even though I know the game is going to be tough.
The second goal is a doubt. We don't know. I know the rules, but I think referee interpretation is quite different, from what we know about the rules.
Now on 50 points, Coach Abdallah believes Pillars can still push for a top 3 finish, with their next challenge coming against northern rivals Katsina United.
For Pillars, I think we have 50 points, so we are safe. We don't have to think about relegation or whatever it is the case. So which means we are going there and we are going to battle. It's only when we get 3 points in Katsina, then the hope of continent will still rise. But we still keep our fingers crossed and see how the other teams fires.
Matchday 35 of the MPFL continues Sunday with 9 fixtures on the card, including a heavyweight clash as last season's champion Enugu Rangers host Eimba International. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
That's the end of News Hour tonight on Trust TV. For more of our news, programs and documentaries, do also follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.